Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Eden. I just mentioned not too long ago that we didn't have an Eden daily in quite a long time, and here's another one. And I think that's good because it's good to break the monotony of maybe playing the basic characters and just have sort of a random one here. Our stats are actually terrible in this case. Our range is quite good, but our tear delay is awful. We have 15 tear delay, which is even, that's twice as bad, I would say, than just having base tear delay. So we're actually shooting extremely slowly. But thankfully, because we have Magic Mush, our damage isn't suffering too much, and we can actually deal with enemies quite fast. One thing that's important to know is that your damage isn't maybe as important as in how many hits you kill the enemy. And what I'm trying to say with that is, let's say that if an enemy has 10 HP, in that case it wouldn't matter if you have 9 damage or 5 damage, even though that's quite a considerable difference, just because you would still need 2 shots to actually kill an enemy. So I would say that damage in a lot of cases is irrelevant early on, as long as you have a lot of damage, and tear delay is also equally irrelevant, just because it doesn't really matter how fast you kill an enemy if that enemy doesn't have a lot of HP. Obviously against bosses it's different because you need to sustain fire on them, so in that case you would maybe look at your overall damage per second, so that's your tear delay and damage. But against regular enemies which don't have a lot of HP or which maybe die in 1 or 2 shots, I would say that having high damage is maybe preferable to having a high tear delay. But in other cases I would say tear delay is more important. Overall I prefer tear delay because I think it makes the gameplay go just a bit smoother. It just feels more rewarding to actually have a higher tear delay, so you can actually shoot faster, because that means that even if you miss a shot, you don't have to wait like two centuries to fire another one and potentially miss that one as well. So all in all, sort of a rough start, but thankfully Magic Mush saves it. We were really huge with the sprite, and I hate that. For some reason, whenever I have a big sprite of Isaac, I just can't seem to actually dodge as well. I'm not really sure what's up with that, maybe just my notions that I'm actually smaller than I am, and I just end up walking into enemies and fires. I don't really have a good judge of where the tears will land or when things will hit me, even though I think that your hitbox doesn't actually change, so it's always the same regardless of how big you are. Or rather, if you get bigger, your hitbox is the same as your base model, but if you do get smaller, your hitbox actually decreases. So getting I am larger pill or maybe a magic mushroom or any item that increases your size isn't as bad as it seems, because it doesn't increase your hitbox, but it surely messes with my perspective of where I can stand and where I can't. This room actually points that out pretty well, because I was trying to do like a swerve in between the bullets. Obviously there were a lot of bullets in the screen, so I couldn't really dodge properly, but if I was smaller I would definitely maybe sidestep to one or the other direction, but because I was quite big, for some reason I just walked into the tears for no particular reason. So back to the run. This run was hard for me. I'm not really sure why. Obviously you say, how can it be hard for you? You got Dark Judas, you have quite a bit of health ups. You're set as far as health goes and as far as damage goes. And I would agree with you in a lot of cases. Obviously I'm not having a bad run at all. This was a very, very good run. If you look at the stats, if you just look at the facts and the items that we got, it's way above average, and we're basically killing every enemy with 1 or 2 shots. But what really gets me is that even though this was a good run, first of all, we didn't have a lot of health, and because I was kind of messed with my size, I was always running on only 2 or maybe 3 hearts at most, and because of that I was always feeling very vulnerable, and I think that's a very common problem. When you have a strong run, it's just for some reason much easier to actually walk into enemies and do some silly mistakes, because maybe you think you're stronger than you actually are, and then maybe you're just not as cautious or whatever. But essentially this did boiled out to me actually being just a bit too cocky in my play. I was maybe being a bit too generous with the things I did, and I was walking on a lot of the projectiles. But maybe the biggest reason of why I messed up, again, I felt like I was pretty strong in this one, so I decided, instead of going the Devil Deal route, because we got the duality item, we also have equal likely chance to get an Angel Deal, and in this case, because I got it very early on in the first Devil Deal, I thought it's probably a good idea to actually utilize that and maybe kill a few of the angel statues, and maybe that way I can gain something like an extra 1,000 points, and that's quite a significant difference, and maybe that's the seam, so to say, which will actually kind of propel me on the leaderboards. But of course, even though I did that, I visited every angel room as opposed to a devil deal. That's obviously a bad play, because you're not gonna get the offensive items that you need if you really want to succeed later on. But I felt like at that point I was strong enough, and even in this case you can see that we're actually dealing quite a significant amount of damage to bosses. We're really not struggling as far as maybe everything goes, but I did enter those angel rooms, and maybe my biggest banking there was that a lot of the angel rooms, which have been reworked, have not only do they have an item in them, some of them have an item, but a lot of them have either spirit hearts or maybe eternal hearts or maybe even eternal chests. And I thought that was a good idea, especially with Mom's Key. We can get a lot of consumables that way, or maybe we can get a lot of health that way. Because I was running low on health, I really thought the angel rooms in this particular case were a good idea. Sadly, it did turn out that they weren't useful. The both angel rooms that I did visit, which I did get, were useless for me. In one of them, I got the Sworn Protector, which is like Guardian Angel, and the other one was, I believe, Breath of Life. And again, why would I pick up Breath of Life when I already have a deck of cards? The active item, which gives you cards. I think that's just as much a superior active item, so obviously there's no reason in me taking those. I still did beat both of the angel statues, and I did get something like 600 points out of it, but all in all, I still feel like it was a bad play. Or maybe again, it was just a bit of a calculated play. I definitely think that I would need a much better base for health if I wanted to go that route. And especially in this case, I'm almost at Hush and I only have 2 red health. So what am I gonna do? I need more Spirit Hearts to actually sustain that, because I'm going to Shoal later, and Shoal is obviously a pretty hard floor. So not only will I eventually, or there's a chance I'm gonna get hit on Hush, there's also a good chance I'm gonna get hit on Shoal, and I need a way to actually survive that. At first I thought, like I said, angel rooms are defensive, and I got Sworn Protector, and Sworn Protector would say, that's a good train, that's a good familiar, he rotates around you, he blocks bullets, it deals damage, what's so bad about it? Well, in this case, what happens is, I didn't know this before, by the way, Sworn Protector, I thought served like Guardian Angel, he's just there, maybe he serves as an additional familiar, which rotates around you like a cube of meat, I guess. It's just in the angel item pool, but apparently this particular familiar, what it does is it attracts bullets, or I think it has a chance to attract bullets, and if those bullets hit him, he has a chance of giving an eternal heart. So that seemed like a good idea when I actually thought about it, but it turned out he didn't really pay out that much. I think I only got 1 eternal heart on Hush, but more often than not, what he did was he actually pulled the tear inwards to me from Hush, but because I was moving so fast, or rather because I was dodging, that tear which he pulled in actually managed to hit me. And I think he did that like 2 or 3 times in total on this particular Hush fight, and I think 1 time later. So an item that was supposed to protect me actually ended up causing me a lot of damage. So now I know that this item is useless and I shouldn't take it, but I was honestly not aware of this interaction, I guess, or even what this item does, because I never picked it up, or if I did pick it up, I guess it was on a stronger run and I didn't notice the negative side effects. But in this particular case, it was horrible. I just didn't know where the tears were actually coming from, because there's obviously a lot of tears on the screen when Hush is shooting. So when you're trying to dodge them in between, you kind of have to zigzag a little bit because it's bullet hell. He pulls it in, one of the tears, or maybe even multiple of them. When he pulls them in, you try to dodge to the side, and when you dodge to the side, he already rotates around, so he's not blocking the tears anymore, and then that tear is actually just homed on into you. So he's actually a very negative familiar all in all, and he doesn't deal that much contact damage. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe it was just a bit unlucky on my part, but maybe the second worst play of this particular run, other than just going the angel rooms, was definitely this one. I came into that room, I figured, it looks like a difficult room, I should teleport out of it, and for some reason I thought, I'm gonna just emperor a card out of it, I'm gonna kill the boss, I'm not actually gonna leave the room, and that's gonna be it. But for some reason, I didn't think to just use a bomb to explode the door and actually go pick up the spirit heart and maybe visit my second secret room, and then actually fight the boss. For some reason, I just thought, I'm just gonna go kill the boss, but I forgot that this was Shoal, and Satan can be quite tricky, especially with low health, and in this case in particular, because I have a lot of damage, a lot of enemies sometimes act unpredictably, especially some bosses which actually trigger some of their attacks depending on how much damage you deal to them. So for example, the Fallen, if you hit one of them when they're charging you, if you deal enough damage, they're gonna stop immediately and they're gonna charge their Brimstone. And when there's 2 of them, obviously because I have Chocolate Milk and Triple Shot and then Cricket's Body, I do deal quite a significant amount of damage. So as soon as one started charging, I shot him and immediately he started doing his Brimstone attack. I wasn't really expecting this because most often than not, they're gonna end up chasing you and then they're gonna actually do that attack. So in this case, he just did it immediately and that kind of caught me off guard. The second thing was, again, because I dealt so much damage to Satan himself, he instead of doing the usual attack downwards, which he does when you usually spawn, because I dealt so much damage to him, he did that sidewise sweeping attack with brimstones, and that again caught me off guard. So that was a bit of my bad, obviously, because I wasn't really expecting it, I wasn't really accounting for that, but at the same time, I think the bigger mistake here was just not going out of the room and using the Emperor card for whatever reason. Like I said, I don't know what I was thinking, it was maybe more of a knee-jerk reaction. I was just, I want to get out of this room, I saw I had a teleport card, and then I used it, and I didn't really think about the consequences. Still, that was a failed experiment, how I would say. I definitely think that this, even more than anything else, has kind of proved to me that angel rooms just aren't that good. I really thought that angel rooms had some merit when your runs are offensively strong to actually go to them, so you can get a good defensive run out of them, so maybe you can get spirit hearts or health or maybe other items which will protect you. But obviously this is just one case example, but I'm just talking from experience from multiple runs. I would say maybe they're good in very niche case scenarios. I would say if you happen to stumble upon an angel room, use a bomb to actually kill the angel, but it's probably not worth to go out of your way to neglect devil deals in order to get better angel room items. That's just my maybe quick analysis, and maybe that's how I would summarize the situation, but nevertheless, at least we learned something. I'll definitely try to apply it in my next runs. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I hope to see you next time.